Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser, Sadie Sink, Ty Simpkins, Hong Chow, and Samantha Morton, directed by Darren Aronofsky. Now, before I get into this, two things about it. One, this was based on a play that I forgot the person's name that made up the play. And two, I heard praises from the performance of Brendan Fraser, even though I didn't know this was a Darren Aronofsky film. But I've been hearing all these good things about Brendan Fraser, he's back. Brendan Fraser. And I hadn't seen him in a movie since Furry Vengeance, which was a terrible film. And he won an Oscar for this performance. And is there a reason for that? Well, we'll talk about it in a second. But I have seen this movie in theaters. And what did I think of it? Well, it's going to be the same as I think of it right now. Let's get into it. Charlie, played by Brendan Fraser, is a very large, overweight man as well as a professor online, as we start on Monday where he masturbates on a pornography as someone knocks on his door as he believes it's his friend and caretaker Liz, played by Hong Chow, but it's really missionary Thomas, played by Ty Simpkins, coming in and helping him feel better by reading an essay his daughter Ellie, played by Sadie Sink, wrote all those years ago. And after Charlie feels better, Thomas gets his phone off the ground, and gives it to him, and Liz eventually arrives and is resistant about Thomas being here as he's with the New Life Church. And Brendan Fraser, that Liz's father will be a part of. And Brendan Fraser, as well as the actors in this movie, are very good, but Brendan Fraser gives a powerful performances. He is the movie, and Hong Chow is great here as well. Liz kicks Thomas out of the house, whilst Liz suggests to Charlie to go to the hospital, but he says he can't because he can't pay off his medical bills while they watch the TV, and Charlie asks Liz to get him the fried chicken from Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he eats it with guilt, and there is a reason why I say that, and it's because he's depressed about having an affair with his wife Mary, played by Samantha Morton, while they had Ellie to take care of, as he was with one of his students, as it was a dude man. And yes, I said it. He had a gay relationship, but the point is, he died before the movie ever starts. Not Charlie, but his boyfriend, I'll say. As Charlie eats with guilt, and it makes him fatter and fatter every day. And damn, this is depressing, because he continuously eats unhealthy to make him feel better. As he goes to sleep, and we move on to Tuesday, when he looks up something on the laptop while trying to eat a piece of candy, but puts it away and eventually eats the candy and sees a bird outside his window. And the makeup job done in this movie was well done as well. Charlie gives the bird some food they can have from him, and Ellie comes to visit him reluctantly, as she doesn't tell her mother, who happens to be Mary, while Ellie comes off like a bitch to him, and she treats him like shit, while Charlie has a heart of gold, and she doesn't want to go to school, as she calls Charlie disgusting. And I thought, when she says all these things about him, I thought, harsh. She can burn in hell for all I care, as he wants her to pay her to spend time with him. And I'm like, she's fucking taking advantage of him, as she asks him to write essays for her. And I thought, Jesus Christ, this bitch is taking advantage of him. And she tells him to stand up without the walker. And she leaves, and I don't know Sadie Sink as an actress, as she's well known for Stranger Things, but I'll see her again in Spider-Man Brand New Day, but I have seen The Glass Castle, but I don't remember her in it. But I have to say, she does turn in a good performance, but I hated the character to death, because she takes so much advantage of him, and Pizza Dude Man arrives with the pizza, and Liz comes by his apartment again to make sure he's breathing, and Liz learns Ellie came over to his place, and she says Charlie is not supposed to be around her. And the cinematography was good, as this was nicely filmed. Don't get me wrong, it is. Charlie looks up Ellie's Facebook page and sees she doesn't have any friends. And do I care about her? Hell no, as Charlie chokes on his food until Liz helps him breathe again, and she gets upset with him, as he could have died right in front of her, but luckily enough, he doesn't. And we move on to Charlie in a teaching session, and the birds are trimming while he grabs a book and tries to grab a key, but he can't without hurting himself as he can't reach it. And we move on to Ellie spending time with Charlie, and he does her essay without her analyzing it, which is cheating. Well, she acts very careless about it, and he learns Mary drinks a hell of a lot with the audience learning about the student he was in love with, and the writing in this is so damn sad. Like, I can't stand how he's being treated at all. After Charlie cries in the bathroom, Thomas comes by the apartment to check up on Charlie, and Ellie invites him and learns about him, and she talks about what she likes and doesn't like about religion as she takes a picture of Thomas without his permission, and they introduce themselves, and she leaves, and Thomas talks about the Bible and at the end of the world, and Charlie says he's read the Bible and explains how devastating it is, and says he's not interested in joining his church, as he helps him out with the key he dropped a few minutes ago. And all of a sudden, Liz comes by with a fat guy wheelchair, and he tries it out, and Liz chats with Thomas about where he's from, and Liz asks him to stay away from Charlie while he tries the wheelchair out, and this movie is just so devastating in so many levels. Thomas wants to help Charlie, and Liz explains what happened to her brother because of her father, and she tells him to leave Charlie alone as Charlie sees Liz acting all aggressive to Thomas. And we move on to nighttime, and despite this has taken place in one set, the production design and set decoration is actually pretty good, as Charlie goes in a room with the wheelchair but can't fit through the door, and Charlie gets pizza delivered by Dan as he introduces himself to Charlie. As Charlie introduces himself and grabs Ellie's essay, and he sees that she didn't even try, but he laughs at the way it sounds anyways, and continues to read her essay, and Ellie comes by and finishes the essay up, and he finishes the essay up, and he asks her to write whatever she wants, and the acting in this is tremendous. Charlie says to Ellie she doesn't have to be angry with the world and to be angry with him, and she yells at Charlie as she turns back on him, but he turns around and he confesses he wanted her to be around her, but Mary didn't want him as she gets hungry and eats a sandwich, and he tells her she's an amazing person while she doesn't believe it as she smokes cigarettes, and he's asleep while Ellie going in places like his bedroom and memory room, and Thomas comes by and she acts high about it, and she says to him she will crush his medicine, and while he wants to help Charlie, Ellie tells Thomas to take a shot of drugs, and he does as she takes another picture of him without his permission, as Thomas was a stoner once in his life, and she insults him like a Satan she is. And the dialogue is written good, as this was a good enough written by the man who wrote the play named Samuel D. Hunter. That's his name. Thank you very much. And Thomas and Ellie hang out while at Charlie's apartment overnight until morning comes by, and Liz comes in with Mary, and Liz is upset with Charlie, while Mary is upset with Ellie, and she learns Charlie offered her all of her money, and Mary also treats Charlie like shit, big time, as Liz leaves him for death, while Mary treats Ellie like shit as well, and Ellie says, why can't he just fucking die? And I'm like, God damn, this is her mother speaking, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. Not only do I not like Ellie, but I don't like Mary either. And Liz starts to sour on me after she leaves him to death, and this movie is very upsetting as he has a heart of gold while people around him treat him like shit, which is just so sad in so many levels. Charlie tells Mary she didn't tell her she was flunking school, as she didn't want him to see Ellie, as Mary confesses Ellie as a terror and wants Charlie to think she's a bad mother, and based on her thinking, she's out of her fucking mind. And Mary shows Charlie Ellie is evil, and Mary never said how sorry she was about her lover, and like Ellie, she doesn't give a shit about him, but she lays on him and to make him relax, and she sees the day, and he was at the beach with Mary and Ellie, and she says sorry, but says fuck you to him, and she tells him to go to the hospital, and she ends up leaving him. And this is very good acting by Brendan Fraser, but Jesus Christ, this is such a motherfucking depressing ass movie. Charlie coughs and drops his phone and sees his plate of food for the birds was empty, and Dan the pizza dude man comes by the house to deliver the pizza, and he looks it up and sees Dan is looking at Charlie like he's disgusting, and continuously eats with guilt and quits his teaching job by saying there's things he doesn't mean as he feasts, to quote Dr. Seuss with the Grinch. And he vomits in the trash can and is depressed and feels guilty until Thomas comes to the door and confesses himself that Ellie made him do, and he's going back home as his parents forgave him, while Charlie is in so much pain and reads from his holy Bible, as this will be the last time we see Thomas and Charlie monologuing about there being an afterlife, as he makes Thomas say to him he's disgusting, while Thomas says stop, and Charlie gives Thomas his Bible back and tells him to go home. And this was very good acting, but this scene went on a little too long. Charlie teaches his class and reads Ellie's essay and shows his true face and exposes himself as a fat, sweaty man, and throws his computer as Liz comes by and checks on him because she feels sorry for him, while he apologizes to her, and she cries, as does he, and she monologues about how she hated him for making her go through this shit that she went through, and tries to give him a couple of meatball sandwiches, and says she can't do this anymore, as she tears up after he says people are amazing. He's dying, with Ellie coming to the apartment and wants to talk with him about failing the essay because she got an F, as Liz calls someone out while outside the apartment, and Ellie makes her present the essay she wrote a long time ago about Moby Dick, which was said earlier in the film. It says how sorry he is for leaving her, and he says she's amazing, and she almost leaves, and Charlie tells Ellie to read the essay, and she does, with Charlie rising in standing position as he walks towards her, and damn, this climax was fucking depressing. I mean, my God, this movie was just fucking depressing. But how depressing? Let's talk about it in a rating. I'll give this movie a 6.6 out of 10. Don't get me wrong. It was a good movie, and Brendan Fraser delivers a very powerful performance, and Hong Chow is great in here as well. But damn, this movie is fucking depressing, as it's about a guy who has a heart of gold and is overweight, and people around him treat him like shit. Big time. And the makeup job was absolutely well done as well. The cinematography was good, as this was nicely filmed, as the writing in this was just so damn sad. Like, I can't stand how people were treating him at all, as this movie is truly devastating in so many levels. While this being set in one place, the production design and set decoration is actually pretty good. The acting is tremendous, and the dialogue is written by the man who wrote the play, Samuel D. Hunter, was good, as this is a recommendation for this movie, and the editing is tightly done, as the music choices were a tad dramatic, but to be fair, this movie is fucking tragic and to watch, and it's not Darren Aronofsky's best work, but it's also not the worst either, as it works as it is. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this review, and next time I will be back with Caught Stealing. And until then, okay, I'm depressed.